Good morning. This is Wednesday morning, March 24th. I welcome you all this morning. Jeremy and Wendy, good to see you this morning. Welcome. On this beautiful, chilly morning. We are in Psalm 112 once again this morning. And today is my dad's birthday. And Saturday is the first anniversary of my dad's homegoing. So he's been on my mind today, and just thinking about a year ago and thinking about him and celebrating his life. Even though this entire week has been dedicated to the memory of my grandmother through Psalm 112, today I'm going to give a little shout out to my dad. And so remember the beginning of Psalm 112, very first verse says, "Praise the Lord, blessed is the man who fears the Lord, who greatly delights in his commandments." There is blessing for those who fear the Lord and delight in God, in who He is, and celebrates their relationship through their life. And the psalmist gives a bunch of examples of this. And one I want to touch on today is the idea of generosity. And this is something that was very characteristic of my dad's life. And let me read a couple of verses from Psalm 112. Verse 5 says, "It is well with the man who deals generously and lends." Verse 9 says, "He has distributed freely, he has given to the poor." Blessed is the one who is generous. It is well with the man who deals generously and lends. And the reason I want to bring this out this morning is I just think it's such a healthy understanding of our possessions, to understand that all that we possess is a gift from God. It is something that the Lord has provided us. Now, we may have worked and toiled and put in our time and saved our money and done the things to acquire these things, but ultimately all of them belong to God because God gives us the ability to work. Think just the analogy of the farmer. The farmer does all the work to plant the seed, but once the seed's in the ground, what do? They wait. And God does all the work of causing the natural processes of that seed to germinate and grow into a fully mature plant. And then the farmer can harvest and sustain himself through these means. But he's ultimately dependent upon God for the gift of these things. And that just plays out throughout our entire lives. And when we understand this fully, we are free to give these things away because we know that we do not ultimately possess them. And if we feel like we do, there's a sense in which those things begin to possess us, and we have unhealthy attachments to our things. Someone who is free to give, free to be generous, to give things away, is truly free. If you feel like you can't give things away, if you can't lend, if you can't, you have an attachment to something that it really possesses you. I just want to give a shout out to my dad because this being his birthday, this weekend being the first anniversary of his homegoing, I want to highlight that this is a character trait that he demonstrated so much. And those of us who were close to him saw it all the time. If you didn't know my dad very well, you probably experienced his generosity. You probably just didn't even know it. Because one of the things that my folks loved to do was when they saw a need, they wanted to meet that need somehow. And so clandestinely, they would, through the church or through some other means, help people regularly, all through, from my childhood all the way through to the end. My dad that was in his heart. Both my parents, they did this all the time. And it wasn't just seeing people in need and contributing to those people that are in need. My dad was very much into community service. He served with the Rotary Club. My parents sponsored Little League teams. He was always volunteering to do things in the community and to provide for the community out of his own pocket, out of his own time, to invest himself in other people. And those kinds of investments have zero return. There's no doing it to get something in return. It's freely giving and being generous with himself and his resources and his equipment, and so on. And out at the cemetery, he'd always take that giant lawnmower, and he would go and he'd mow the lawn at the Vista Point in Jackson. A lot of people didn't know that he did that, or he'd weed eat. Just by volunteering for the community, so the community looks nice, and so on. And my dad was generous with his church. My parents have always been very invested in their local congregation, and not just financially, but their whole lives were invested in other people, hosting many, many things in their home. My parents built a pool 26 years ago at their house. And it was built primarily not for themselves. It was built so that other people could enjoy it. I mean, they invested all of this so that other people could enjoy their pool. And they took great delight in that generosity and their hospitality. And so not just our family, so that all the grandkids would come and be a part of that, which it worked beautifully, that the grandkids did love coming over and swimming in Grandpa and Grandma's pool. But the local pool service in Jackson teases my parents. It's like, your pool is the most used pool in Amador County, because youth groups, birthday parties, Boy Scouts, school class parties, all, it's like, hey, can we use your pool? And my parents were always, yes, of course, this is why we built it, And generosity, the freedom of generosity, really demonstrates the freedom of our heart from attachments to worldly things. And that if we are able to give those things away, it means that we have a freedom from those attachments, and we are blessed in return. And so I just think that is something to not only to be honored today, just recognizing my dad, but also to emulate, obviously, or else it wouldn't be displayed proudly in Psalm 112. Let me read those two verses one more time in closing. Verse 5, it is well with the man, or well with the one who deals generously and lends. And verse 9, he, or this one, has distributed freely. He has given to the poor. And may we emulate that. I'm always working that in my own heart's attachments, and freeing myself of covetousness, hoarding my own stuff, trying to protect it. It's like, no, be free. Free my heart from these things so that I can be generous with others, and in turn, I receive the blessing of that freedom. So be blessed today, and I pray that you feel the courage and freedom to give something away today, something that you possess, or something of yourself to others today. Lord bless you.